Breakfast, we now take you all the way to the center of unity where we have Eshomamo Imodu and Tijesu Adoye with the FCT brief. The conversation is now with you. Inakwana, take it away.
Hi, Ria. Good morning. It's another beautiful Tuesday morning here in the FCT, and of course our table is full with a lot to discuss. So sit back and relax while we take you on a smooth ride.
Good morning, Nigerians. And this is Tuesday at TJ. Tuesday, we have something for them on cybersecurity.
Well, let's take you into what we have for you today. As Nigeria's digital economy expands at record speed, so do the threats lurking in cyberspace. From online banking fraud and identity theft to data breaches affecting both public and private institutions. The question is no longer whether cyber threats exist, but how prepared we are to confront them. Today, we take a hard look at cybersecurity, reviewing the safety of Nigerians in the digital age. Nigeria's growing dependence on digital platforms for governance, commerce, education, and communication has created immense opportunities, but also significant vulnerability. With millions of citizens conducting daily transactions online, the integrity of our cyber infrastructure has become a matter of national security and economic survival.
Are existing laws sufficient? Are enforcement agencies equipped? And how protected is an average Nigerian internet user? And to help us get clarity into these critical issues, we are joined by Senator Shuaib Afolabi-Salisu. He is the Chairman Senate Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity. Senator Salisu brings legislative insight into ongoing reforms, policy direction, and what Nigerians should expect in the evolving fight against cybercrime. And distinguished, nice to have you here this morning.
It's my pleasure to have. Good morning.
You're
and
welcome.
Congratulations for your award as the media house with the best technology deployment.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
excited to be here. Good morning.
All right.
morning. Great to
Yeah.
have you.
If Nigeria were to be hit by cyber attack, we learned that we have several thousands of AI-driven attacks coming weekly, and decide to attack our critical infrastructure, the telecom, the banking, INEC, and several other stuff. Will you confidently say that Nigeria has capacity to withstand such threat based on what is on ground now?
Well, I will clearly say so. Let me start by saying that the reality of the digital age comes with the risks of cybersecurity. And there are three main areas, three main vulnerabilities that make cyber attacks a lot easier to perpetrate. Number one, you have technology. If you run an outdated version of a software as an example, or a technology, it becomes easier for hackers or those who are criminally minded to exploit the vulnerability in the old software version that you are running. You also have vulnerability as a result of organizational processes. If you have your processes as an institution, banking, telecoms, or whatever organization, and those processes are not aligned sufficiently to proactively identify cyber threats and mitigate them, so you can also be vulnerable. And thirdly, it's also about individual behavior. By individual behavior, I mean people sharing their password or confidential information over telephone or with unauthorized people. However, having said that, Nigeria has a very high level of cybersecurity resilience. Maybe sometimes because of the number of incidents that have been reported, it may create an impression that, oh, Nigeria is at the risk of being overrun by cyber criminals. Far from that. In 2024, about 2 years ago, the Senate Committee on ICT and Cybersecurity, which I lead, and the National Assembly enacted an amendment to our cybercrime law of 2015, which was the first time there was a legislative intervention in that space. And what made us to do that in 2024 was also a realization that between 2015 and 2024, a lot of things are taking place in terms of technology, and therefore we had that law. But a significant part of that law was also to designate certain information infrastructures as critical national information infrastructure, whether they're in public space, whether they're in private space. So our national identity management database, for instance, has been declared a national critical national information infrastructure. the banking system, the telecoms. Indeed, we have sectoral focal points for each of these, under the coordination of the Office of National Security Advisor. We know we have National Cyber Security Coordination Center there. So we have sectoral mitigants for financial industry, for telecom, and the president graciously signed all of this into gazetted this as a part of a national critical national information infrastructure. So, to a large extent, don't forget that because we are also the fintech capital of Africa. If you look at 10 fintechs in Africa, 7 of them are from Nigeria. If you look at the volume of transactions, if you look at our population, sometimes the impression is created that, we have a number of cyber security attacks, and therefore we are as, I'm not saying we're not vulnerable, but not as vulnerable as we think we are. Because the other factor is that our security agencies are also on top of the situation. So when you get to arrest more people, when you get to uncover some of the incidents, again, it creates an impression that, a number of them are going underground. So when you look at Nigeria, with a population of about 3 million people, compared to some other African countries, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million people here, how many people want to come? I mean, how many students do you want to have? So I want to assure Nigerians that effort and on, and I'm going to highlight some of those efforts here to let us know that, yes, we have people who are criminally minded who want to undermine our cyber security, but then both the legislators, the executive arms, and even sectoral players are working together collaboratively, not just within Nigeria, even with international organizations like United Nations Office on Drug and Crime. All
right. Before you go into the efforts being made, by your committee and also government to ensure that our cyberspace is safe, very recently, the National Assembly passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, and this has been signed into law. And one of those controversial matters was this mandatory electronic transmission of results. One of the reasons the Senate gave that it didn't just leave that clause, the mandatory clause, it was because, we don't have the right infrastructure yet. It is still prone to cyber hacking. It is not there yet in terms of communication gaps and all of that. Now, for your committee, do you think that those reasons are really valid? Because, we have technology that supports the banking system. We have technology that supports communication system. So when it comes to elections, why is it different?
TJ, let me put it this way. And by the way, I not only speak as a senator. I not only speak as chairman of Senate Committee on ICT and Cyber Security. I am a registered computer professional. I am a fellow of Nigeria Computer Society. I have worked in 4 banks before coming here, before coming to the Senate. And 2 of the banks, I was head of technology. So I understand a bit of technology. What does the Electoral Act says? When you conclude election and you fill from AC84, the law mandates, it uses the word shall. The president shall transmit the ECA form and put it on the IREF. However, should technology fail, should network not be available, the form EC80 becomes a backup. There is no system anywhere that you develop and you do not have a backup for it. If you go to a bank in Wuse, in Abuja here, to make a deposit into your account, and you fill a teller, and give you a receipt evidencing that you have made deposit into your bank, and you are holding on to that. Now, ordinarily, that balance is supposed to be reflected, let's say, in anybody who wants to see your account or you want to do transaction in Abuja, in Kaduna. If there's a network failure and that balance has not been reflected to be seen in Kaduna, does that invalidate the fact that you have done a transaction here and your teller becomes a backup to evidence that they have made that payment? So when people talk about it, there's no controversy about that. By the way, let's put it this way. When you do a voting, the voting is not done electronically. The voting is done manually. The counting is done manually. The completion of Form EC8A, which is the primary document, is done manually. The scanning is done manually. And when you finish the scanning, that's when the presiding officer is mandated to transmit it to IRF. And we're saying if IRF fails at that point in time, the E68 form, which is the primary document, becomes a backup to the technology that is not available at that point in time. When the technology becomes available, and by the way, the IRF is a reporting portal. It does not play a role in the election in terms of voting. Even in places where they vote electronically, and we're not voting electronically here, they still require an audit, a paper trail. And that's what happened in the election of our God, the popular case in Florida, where they had to now go and do manual counting. I think people want to comment on an issue in the public space. We should do so without undermining the confidence of the people. I ask a number of people, if you say the presiding officer shall, and that's what the law says, shall mandatorily transmit the Form EC8A to IRF, and you leave it at that. If the network fails at that point in time, what happens?
All right, Senator Shuaib, the question now is, we say we are a developing nation and we see how the world is moving technologically. So if we are giving these reasons, because I won't want to call them excuses, Nigerians are tired of hearing the other side. We should be moving forward rather than backwards. Why would you say we are not, infrastructurally advanced?
We're dealing with what it is, not what we think it should be.
Okay.
If you go to an ATM machine today, even in Abuja here, and you try to withdraw, and the network is not available, what happens? And we're talking about an election that has a time bound. If you try to withdraw from the ATM and network is not available, you move on to the next ATM. You move on to the bank, to the banking hall. The truth of the matter is that there's nowhere in the world today that you have an electronic means of transmission and you do not have a backup to it. Are we more technologically advanced than the United States, where they use manual counting as a backup to the electronic voting that they do?
As a backup.
As a backup. So if what we are saying is that the default position by law is that the presiding officer shall mandatorily transmit the Form EC8A to IRF. The proviso is that if the network is not available at that point in time, the primary document remains EC8 form, because that is the original document. By the way, the EC8 form and I need to emphasize that, is not completed online electronically. It's completed manually. It is when all of the agents, the security agencies, the party agents have signed that you transmit it. And the law says you must mandatorily transmit it. However, if network is not available at that point in time, I am from Ogun State. I am from Ogun Central. I have over 1,900 polling units. Where I vote, in my own polling unit, in a rural community of Delta local government, I cannot guarantee network availability at that point in time. And by the way, you also do know that when we are making let's say, WhatsApp call that is based on data, if a regular call comes in, it cuts it off. Okay.
Well,
we must be able to divorce emotional and sentiment from the realities. In Abuja here, people go to the ATM, technology is not available.
Right,
sometimes people go to their bank.
I'd like you to hold your thoughts because we need to take a quick commercial break now. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. We just have to pay some dues. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with FCT Brief. Now, we'll still continue our conversation on cybersecurity, and still with us in the studio is Senator Shuaib Afolabi.
Yeah, distinguished. When we talk of this cybersecurity, so that the ordinary Nigerians will understand what we're talking about. You earlier said that if a WhatsApp call is on and there is a call, it will cut off. Now, when we have such breaches or when we have we talk about we have the breach in our name, the BF and all that, because there was a time also a regulation was given about name SIM registration, and it was all aimed at helping to deal with terrorism and all that. And Nigerians have not seen the effectiveness of that. How name linkages will stop bandits from using phones to make call, or how their location will be detected and all that, and arrest will be made. The question is, do we hold those who are in custodians of our technology accountable if these breaches happen? Because oftentimes we allow the ordinary Nigerians to suffer the losses, and without holding whether it is the telecom accountable. So what is the National Assembly doing to ensure that when we have such breaches, there are those who are directly responsible, we make them to give account of what has happened and what they did not do?
Let me start by assuring you that our agencies are improving by the day. The challenge with technology and cyber security and cyber crimes is that usually the criminals are always ahead of technology, and it's not peculiar to Nigerian environment. My committee had a stakeholders engagement towards the end of last year with telcos, with NIMC, even with international organizations like United Nations Office on Drug and Crimes. And as I speak with you now, NIMC is becoming part of our daily life. Over time, people are not taking NIMC to be serious, but now you can see that NIMC is being used for JAM registration, NIMC is being used for INEC integration. Even our own political party, the All Progressive Congress, we just concluded our membership registration process, and we also make NIMC a requirement. I think the current leadership of NIMC is up and doing in terms of increasing the linkage between NIMC. The first is to have the identity of your citizens, and that's what NIMC is trying to do now. That is also, you also notice at a point, all those numbers that were not linked to NIN, they were also registered. That has also increased the number of phone numbers that are being used for criminal activity, because we can track them now. We know who they are, and we're increasing that. A number of also policies are also coming by telecos, by NCC, to ensure that, the number of names, the number of telephone number that you can have to be linked to a particular name is also further limited, so that you do not have number that you register and you begin to also give out to the criminals. Some of the strides that our security agencies are making now, you see, over time, there's been a trust deficit between the governments and the governed. So much that even when progress is being made, people also begin to see it from the prism of, we don't trust the government, we don't trust our national institutions, but the truth of the matter is that things are improving. So now, in terms of those breaches, of course we perform oversight functions. We perform oversight functions on some of these on these agencies, and we can also identify where we think there are gaps, and that's why we're also coming up with a new cybercrime law in the country. I mentioned to you that we did an amendment in 2024. Subsequent to the amendment, a number of things have happened. The artificial intelligence has ballooned. The United Nations had come up with a UN Convention on crimes, and Nigeria has been a signatory. That was done towards the end of last year. So a new law is coming up now that will also adapt the UN Convention to our environment. And I say adapt, and then I use the word advisedly. Adapt because some of the things that may be globally acceptable may not be in tandem with our own norms and values and culture here. So a new cybercrime is in the offing. It will address two things at the very minimum. We have put the law into practice in the last few years. We have seen the gaps. We have also seen the United Nations new definition of cybercrimes, and we have also seen new technology. Therefore, we're coming with a law that will, and we are doing this in collaboration with Federal Minister of Justice, the National Assembly, and Office of National Security Advisor. And we're also getting support from the Council of Europe, European Union, and United Nations Office on Drug and Crime. It will strengthen the prosecutorial ability of the Minister of Justice in terms of criminal justice system. It also strengthens the Office of National Security Advisor to ensure, whereas one focuses on you have committed a crime and we want to bring you to justice, the other focuses on proactive identification of threats and risks.
All right,
so
Senator.
those agencies, NIMC, NIDA, NCC, all of them, they are working together collaboratively. They are working together with all the stakeholders. And we as National Assembly, we are coming with a new law that will even be more comprehensive. And we are doing this also in conjunction with civil society organizations, because sometimes there's always a tension between the legislators wanting to protect the country and the civil society wanting to protect the freedom.
All right,
I will need to strike a balance between
Senator,
the two.
because of our time, you mentioned the AI technology earlier, and we see how AI is, growing at a rapid speed. We see, some kind of technology, people impersonating people, and all of that. Now, you spoke about this new cybercrime law. I don't know if it has become a bill that is in the National Assembly already. Does it capture this? Because, a lot of people are using this to perpetrate a lot of crime that we see. Impersonation is there, bullying is there, fake news is there, and all of that. Would you say Nigeria is, regulating at the speed of that AI technology?
Let me put it this way. You must strike a balance between overregulation and that can kill innovation. AI is an evolving thing. So what we have put in place, by the way, there's a new bill, National Digital Economy and E-Government Bill. That bill is in the final stage of legislative processes that will make it available for Mr. President to accent to. That bill recognizes that's AI. So what do we do to ensure that we take full advantages of AI while saving the society from the perils of the AI? So that bill, the National Digital Economy Bill, provides for what we call sandbox, meaning that before you can deploy AI in some areas, you must have a test laboratories and it must be certified by the regulatory agencies to ensure that it's not something that's harmful. So you are gauging it with regulations, with laws, but you are also allowing for innovation. You don't want to kill the innovation, but you also don't want to leave the space for AI to also become a peril. The second part of the question is, while you are doing that, this new cybercrime law, not cybercrime bill that is in the works now, also recognizes that new crimes, that like you call deep fake, somebody can just mimic your voice, somebody can put your voice, your face on something else. That is also captured in the new cybercrime bill. That is also so. Two bills are in the National Assembly concurrently. The National Digital Economy Bill and E-Government Bill that mandates government agencies to digitize their operations and provide for regulation of AI in one breath in order to increase the contribution of digital economy to our GDP. It's growing about 18%, 19%. Our target is to take it to 30%. But while you are doing so as well, you must also strengthen the regulatory framework for cybercrime. So that's why the two of them are going hand in hand. And third plank of that is also the National Digital Literacy Framework. Because a number of cyber crimes also arise from our individual behavior. When you receive an email that we call phishing, that is supposed to be TVC News, and somebody put it as a TVC News NG, and you do not verify to know that this is not from the TVC News that you know, and then you begin to respond and providing personal information, you make yourself vulnerable. And what I say to people is this: if I have a physical asset, I can easily, if I have a land, I go and I fence it round. If I have a car, I lock it somewhere. But my information online is as important, if not more important, because data is the new currency. A number of us, even on our phones, we make the location service available at all times. And that's why when you leave from Nigeria, you go to Ghana, you Google, the next thing you begin to see advertisement from. So even individuals must also be prepared to take responsibility for our safety and security in the digital space, the same way we make effort to secure our physical assets on the terrestrial plane.
All right, distinguished. Let me bring us back to this aspect of regulation. You earlier said that we must be careful not to over-regulate, and also talked about the lack of trust between the people and government. Now, some persons may want to wonder that in an election year, you're talking about a cybersecurity law being put in place. We just had one, and you want to review it further. Now, you're giving reasons why you want to review it further. But the suspicion out there is that it's all in an attempt to muscle the opposition and to muscle people's participation in the social space. How can you convince Nigerians that it's not about muscling them up, keeping them short? It's because of their own good.
First and foremost, let me say very clearly, I identify and I recognize that there's a trust deficit. But you cannot develop a society on the basis of suspecting every move of government or those who are in authority. Truth of the matter is that the number of crimes that are being perpetrated, and by the way, I also need to say this very clearly, a number of foreign nationals have been arrested in Nigeria perpetrating cyber crimes in Nigeria. The laws were not made simply for Nigerians, for anybody who perpetrates cyber crimes. And because we are a global village, our cybercrime laws must align with global standard, because if you commit a physical crime, all the elements of proving the crime can be here. But just imagine that a cybercrime can involve, let's say, cyberbullying. The victim might be in Nigeria. The perpetrator might be in US. The server might be in Europe. Somebody who is also an accessory might be in Asia. If your law here does not meet certain standard to allow for collaboration with other jurisdictions, you will not be able. Okay, about a few weeks ago, somebody perpetrated a crime in US, and the FBI traced it to Nigeria. And our own police force here, who has a National Cybercrime Center, was able to assist FBI to arrest the perpetrator here. If the laws are not in tandem, what is a cybercrime law in Nigeria? If it's not a cybercrime law in America, you cannot have that collaboration. You cannot have mutual legal assistance. So the laws are being amended to reflect global standards and to also protect both Nigerians and non-Nigerians, and to provide for a way for us to collaborate, because cybercrime is a crime that is not limited territorially. It's a crime that is perpetrated in the cyberspace that can have many jurisdictions cooperating. So let's not one input into the effort of National Assembly to ensure that our laws are up to date with the we have. In fact, it has nothing to do with elections, by the way. It has nothing to. People are committing cybercrime on a daily basis in our financial system, in our telecom system. People are bullying other people, and it's an interesting case. And I think I need to bring this way. A teenager has just sued Meta, the owner of Facebook in the United States, and she's suing them for causing depression to her. And because he said you have made your platform to be addictive. Therefore, I have been addicted to your platform, and because I'm addicted to your platform, I see people on the platform that make me feel I am less an achiever, and therefore I suffer depression. We also have in offing a bill to protect our minors online. We call online child protection bill. Again, it's also hold the social media providers, the techie, to hold them accountable. Yeah. You cannot just come here and allow a minor to access your platform. And when they access the platform, they are exposed to pornography, they're exposed to, a child in UK killed herself, committed suicide because he learned online how to commit suicide. We cannot allow those social media to be used to radicalize our youth in Northeast, in Northwest, in North Central, in Southeast, in South. We must have laws to protect our youth. When those are done, It is not to gag the youth. It's not to constrain the media space. It's to ensure that the space is safe and secure for all of us.
All right, distinguished Senator. Unfortunately, that's where we have to leave it because of time. I was going to ask you what Nigerians can do to protect themselves from cyber, as regarding cybersecurity.
Don't share your personal information online.
All right.
Ensure that you update the software running on your system. Invest in some literacy about cybersecurity and technology.
All right.
And please also ensure that your digital trail online is minimal. Do not provide the hackers opportunity to know who you are sufficiently.
Senator Shuaib Afolabi is a beautiful one here, I must say, and I say thank you so much for joining us on the program today to give us more insights on cybersecurity. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the show this morning. That's where we'll draw the curtains. We'll now hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Abuja. A very beautiful conversation. Thank you.